Hamilton Mayor Fred Eisenberger joins us this morning. Good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, good to see you as well.
We're talking this morning after an eventful weekend. Of course, that wild, out of control party at McMaster, the homecoming party in this neighborhood. Now, Ward 1 Councillor Maureen Wilson is putting the blame squarely on McMaster in social media, telling the McMaster president, get your house in order. Do you concur?
I know that there are always conversations being had between McMaster, our bylaw officers, and police, preparing themselves for these events. And unfortunately, when you've got that many students that want to get together, and I certainly understand their desire to do that. I think we've all been to college and university and understand the push of that social atmosphere. But when it gets out of control like this, it is unacceptable. And certainly the appropriate charges will be laid to those individuals that are vandalizing and breaking the law, and hope, likely it will be a short McMaster stay for them as they start their university experience. And police, I think, did a credible job of managing that many people. That's always a critical issue. It's very difficult to manage that size of a crowd. And so, you basically you protect property and people, and then lay charges once the event is over. So we're not encouraging this kind of thing. This is a super spreader event. This is the kind of gatherings that we don't want to encourage, and certainly McMaster and the city and police would all say the same thing. Please don't do this kind of thing. Students, bear in mind that we are in the middle of COVID, and it has significant, serious impacts, not only on you, on anyone you contact yourself with. And so this kind of thing should not be happening at this moment in time.
Yeah, there was big concerns ahead of the weekend, and Hamilton police were on high alert, working with McMaster, but also with City of Hamilton bylaw officers. So how upset and shocked are you by this, seeing as how we should have been prepared? How did it escalate to this?
Well, it's a matter of crowd size. These things tend to take on a life of their own when they, through Instagram or other chat lines, they encourage the gathering. You're generally not aware that it's going to be as large as it is, and then you're faced with the circumstance of having to manage the situation rather than trying to prevent it. And so the prevention is what we'd like to get at more often and more frequently. I know that McMaster is interested in that. We have an ongoing town and gown organization that is the city and McMaster and the Students' Union coming together with the neighborhood to talk about appropriate practices in neighborhoods, so that we can have a living arrangement that considers the residents that live there as part of the concern of them being able to enjoy a quiet neighborhood. So all of those issues have been and continue to be worked on, and that will continue in the future.
Okay. How has the vaccine uptake with city staff progressed?
Yeah, the good news is that we've got about 78% of the employees have now reported their vaccination status, first and second dose, and that's great news. Of those, 93% of them have been fully vaccinated, and so the effort continues. Those that haven't.
What's the hard deadline?
The deadline is the end of this month to demonstrate your first dose. And then there's an education process, and the deadline is the end of November for the second dose.
Okay.
And so they have time to do this, but it's progressing very nicely, and we see significant numbers verifying their status, on a daily basis.
Now, there are reports of extremely low numbers with HSR drivers. Are there discussions with the union on this?
Yeah, there have been discussions with all of our unions right from the very beginning. I'll note that the union that represents the Toronto Transit Commission just reversed their decision and are now supporting vaccine verification and mandatory vaccination. And I think that's the right thing to do, and I hope that the ATU union here in Hamilton adopts the same. They're on the wrong side of this issue, and they need to encourage their members to not only provide safety for themselves, but for their patrons that use the service, as well as their families. So the sooner we can get their verification, the better.
Okay, I only have 30 seconds left, and you were going to run out of time, so we'll pick up on it again next week. But just wanted to talk about the urban boundary situation. You had that survey, and people in Hamilton in the survey were overwhelmingly against. But Hamilton really doesn't have a choice in this expansion, does it?
Well, I mean, the choice lies with the City of Hamilton Council and all the evidence and material that we're going to receive.
But
We're
there's a
going to receive
penalty, isn't there, from the province if there
well,
isn't an expansion?
yeah, you know what? That remains to be seen. So, I think what we need to focus on is what's in the best interest of the City of Hamilton going forward. I think that's our mission going forward. We're going to have a lot of information on the table, including the survey that people filled out, including comments from other agencies that are saying yes, we should, and no, we shouldn't. But the reality is that the evidence is going to be, in my view, in the reports that we've commissioned, the peer review that we've asked for, including a peer review of the land needs assessment, and all of that should lead us to, I think, a decision around what's the best process for us in the short term as well as in the long term.
Okay.
Personally, I'm not in favor of an urban boundary. Haven't ever been, but it does have an impact on the housing supply, and that is certainly something that we have to be mindful of. So we
Right.
can't ignore any of those issues. And
So many
on
things are
October
impacted.
25th, we're going to have our hands full.
Yeah. If so, we'll continue to follow that and chat weekly. Thanks so much for joining us, Hamilton Mayor Fred Eisenberger.
Thanks, Bob. Have a great day.
You too.